We are the Wilkins family, and we are a blended family, actually. Lily Jean is our baby daughter. She's 8 months old, getting big and everything, and doing all kinds of stuff, trying to act like she's grown and everything. And Ailani is her big sister.
Yes, like her best friend.
Yes, and she's 12, and she is a gymnastics extraordinaire.
Yes. So Ailani's 12, and she is my first baby. And 12 years later, along came Lily Jean after Alan and I had been married for 5 years. So we have a blended family. So we know that what we have decided to share recently here on our YouTube channel can be scary for a lot of parents. So today, my husband and I want to take a minute to give you a few tips and resources to be able to choose a great location or person to care for your children outside of yourselves.
So one of the things you want to do is do your research. Research different types of childcare from one extreme to the other.
And know that nothing is too extreme when it comes to finding someone to nurture your children. Nothing is too extreme. Make a list of what you think is important about your child, his or her schedule. Also, I think it's important to also make a list of you and your family's values, your morals, things that you think are important to you, and keep them in mind as you begin your search for a provider or a location for you to take your children. Primarily, there are two types of options when you're looking for childcare for your children. There is home-based first, and home-based is, do you want to tell them?
It is when someone comes to your house,
yes,
and while you go out, for work and everything like that.
Right, and that's referred to as in-home care. And then you also have family-based, which is what we primarily started with our girls. Family-based is when you take your child or children to someone else's home for care. We're not here to say that one type is any better than the other. That's why we think it's important for you to make a list of your morals, your values, your child, and their individual needs. Next is center or school-based, and that's the one that we're most familiar with. Because if you didn't already know, Alan and I are both teachers. And I've been teaching in the public school sector for over 14 years. And currently I am a 5th grade teacher. And Alan is a
music teacher, been teaching for 5 years, well 6 years actually, but 5 years in my current district.
Yeah, so we have over 20 years of experience. But me personally, I have worked in center or school-based options or types since I was 13 or 14 years old. So these are the selections that are most familiar to both of us as educators. And currently, before the pandemic swept in, Lily Jean has switched over to a center or school-based program. So let's be clear, going or taking your children to someone else's home is not a school. It's not considered a school.
Right.
It's actually considered a home-based setting. We're not trying to tell you which one to choose. Just like we just said, we started both of our girls off with in-home, and then later they will transition to center or school-based programs, and I found success in both of those at different time periods in my girls' life.
If you are choosing a home-based setting, just be sure that the provider is following the state guidelines for running a child care center. They don't necessarily have to be involved with that or registered in that capacity, but just be sure that they're following those guidelines for reassurance.
So what that means is just because you choose a home-based provider does not mean that they have to be a part of your state's referral system. So we could be in-home providers and decide we don't want to be a part of the human resources referral system. We just want to have our business on our own and get our own clients.
Right.
So I don't want you to think just because you're using a home-based provider means that they are a part of a human services referral system, because not all home-based providers are a part of it. Okay?
If you want to go the other route, definitely be sure that they're following the state guidelines because they are a facility housing a bunch of kids, and they have a staff as well. So you want to
Right.
definitely make sure there are no red flags whatsoever.
So if you're using a center or school-based choice, then you want to make sure that the state requirements are followed and that they're training their staff. You know, I also want to point out that when you're using a home-based provider or location, that they may not all accept subsidy programs. So in different states, you may be able to qualify for support for childcare, because let's face it, childcare is
A lot of money.
it's a lot of money. It's expensive. So some states provide subsidies or assistance for you to be able to utilize either a home-based provider or a school or center-based provider. But not all home-based providers will accept state subsidies, and they don't have to. Just like we said, a home-based provider doesn't have to agree to be a part of a human services referral network. So Lily Jean is awake, so she's joining us for this educational video. So as we were saying, in New Jersey, you want to make sure that you ask if your particular center or school-based program is a part of Grow New Jersey Kids. Grow New Jersey Kids is a quality rating system in New Jersey that works to raise the quality of childcare that's being provided across the state. So this is a rigorous long-term inspection system that will give the centers a ratings on a 5-star scale. It's not just a one-day inspection.
Right. This is something to ask, no matter if it's in-home, or sorry, not in-home, but home-based, or if you're in a facility, something you should ask the child care provider, because
I like it because it provides transparency. You know that there's some outside people who are coming in to check out the space on unscheduled occurrences to make sure that the kids are in a safe environment. And it also shows that the provider or the center is okay with having anybody come in at an unexpected time. And it's a program that takes commitment. So as an educator, I feel it's important and a great source for accountability for providers.
Right. And the child care facility that we chose for Miss Lily Jean here, they had that. They even mentioned that to us.
Yes. Before we even asked them, they told us that they were a part of Grow New Jersey Kids. We also want to point out and say that just because a center is not Grow New Jersey Kids rated does not mean that they are not equipped to be able to care for children properly. For us, it was just reassuring to know that centers have the capability of going through this rigorous inspection program and to be rated. Okay, so I think that's just something that's important to ask. And if you're not in the state of New Jersey, I think you can call your human resources or your state department and ask them if they have a similar rating system for your state.
One of the things you want to look for is that the facility or home-based center has a safe and healthy learning environment.
Like, honestly, is there regular communication between the staff, the directors, and the children? And if you're using a home-based provider, what's that communication look like? Are they okay with texting? Do they only have a landline? Are they going to give you email updates, picture updates? You want to know how communication is going to be handled. When you do your tour, you want to look around to see if the space is clean. And if you have a little baby, as you see little Lily Jean is, moving all around, is it safe? Are there things that your child can get into? Does the staff wash their hands and
wash their babies and kids' hands?
After diapering. When we went for our current facility or center-based program where Lily Jean goes now, I love the fact that as we were talking to the teachers, they were still caring for the babies. There weren't any chairs. The teachers had to sit down on the floor at floor level with the kids as the kids were able to move around in their natural ways that they move. I also love that the teacher was at the sink. She had just finished changing a diaper. She was at the sink, washing the baby's hands. So those are things that you want to look for. You want to see if they have an outdoor space. If you have a child that needs outdoor area, do they have an outdoor space? Is it free from broken glass and litter? Is the program going to be teaching your baby anything? Is a program support what it is that you wrote down on that list about your family's morals and values?
All right, so another safety thing I noticed about the facility that we went with was the security. They didn't just let anybody just come in. You had to enter a password to get in. They gave you a password to get in to the facility. Otherwise, you weren't allowed in. You would have to ring the doorbell. So that's one thing I noticed that maybe home-based facility might not have is security like that on that kind of scale. So that's another thing to look for. You in agreement? I know you are. Yeah.
Lily Jean agrees.
So the next thing we want to talk about is the curriculum and learning environment.
Yes, as educators, we know the value and importance of teaching your children, even when they're little. They need nurturing. They need to learn social, emotional development and those skills. So you want to be looking for and asking, how many children will your provider be caring for? How many will be in their class? What are the ages of the children being cared for? Is there a daily schedule? And if there is a daily schedule, at the times where you go in, is the schedule being followed?
Right.
And if the schedule is being followed, which was big for me and that was a look for me, is it genuine? Is the provider or the teachers genuine? Is there a research-based program that's being used to teach children or to provide different activities? Or are they just on the tablet playing games and coloring sheets? And if there's free play, what does the free play areas look like? Okay? Something else I think is important is the family and community engagement. Is the provider or sender connected to the community? I think that's important so that you can also begin to get references, especially if you're using a home-based program. You want to know other families who have come through your home-based provider and to see how they feel about the home-based provider as well.
And that'll help you with your decision as well. It gives you reassurance, that maybe some of your close friends that have children are using, you could use them as a reference, and they can let you know everything that's going on and what they feel, some of the pros and cons that they're, facing with the facility that they're using. So
yeah. Something else as educators, we are professionally developed every single, it feels like every week, professional development, gotta go to a professional development. So the same thing for centers and people that care for your babies. Are they being professionally developed? Are there programs and classes that they have to go through on a regular basis after becoming licensed to care for children?
Yeah.
So that's something you want to ask. What does the professional development look like for your staff? Or what is the education level of the people you have working here? Does your staff or are you CPR and first aid certified? Okay? Any quality home-based or center or school-based program should be able to answer those questions for you without hesitation and without having to go look that information up.
Right.
So we wanted to also tell you that pay attention to your initial meetings with your providers. Now, what happens when you ask information? What is their tone? How do they respond,
Right. Are they willing to come out and greet you, show you around, especially if they're running the facility? Are they willing to show you around if you're asking for a tour? So
you want to make sure that pay attention to the demeanor when you're asking a lot of questions. Is the person easily annoyed, or are the teachers stuttering, fluttering around looking for answers, or unsure about how to answer or say, I don't know? I think it's important that you pay attention to the administration and management of the home-based provider and the center.
Right.
Even just because someone is caring for your child in your home or they're caring for your baby in their home, there should be systems of management in place. Right. It's a business. Your children are your most prized possession. They're your inheritance. They're inheritance from God. And you just want to be sure that there are systems and checkpoints in place for where you're going to leave your inheritance, you know? Okay. We gotta go put Little Miss, we gotta put Little Miss Lily Jean down. She's stealing all the attention. Right, Boo Boo? I want to just point out that I'm still nursing Lily Jean. So for me as a breastfeeding mom, it was important for me to know that I could still come in and nurse my baby anytime I wanted to. So I know things have changed a little bit because of the pandemic, but normally when you are looking for a home-based provider or a center-based location or school-based, they shouldn't give you an issue about if you want to come in to nurse or breastfeed your baby. If they give you a hard time or say, you know, we don't allow that, and they can't give you a clear reason as to why, especially now that the pandemic is here, I know that center-based programs have changed on how and who they will let in. But normally, you should not be given a hard time about coming in to breastfeed or nurse your baby at any time. And if you are given a hard time,
get up out of there.
Yeah, just leave. Yeah. That's a red flag. You know, normally without the COVID-19 and what we're experiencing right now, a mom should be able to come in and nurse her baby, and there be a dedicated location to do so in any home-based center and also a school or center-based providers or location. Something else that was good for us, you want to talk about the cameras, because after the experience that we went through, for me, it was like a non-negotiable. I had to have cameras. Yeah.
Check in anytime you want. I know the first day we left her, dropped her off there. We were
watching that thing.
The whole I ain't gonna lie, all day. I was watching that thing all day, man, just to.
Yeah. I'm not even sure that I even was able to focus, because I was like literally like looking at the cameras all day. So look at her.
I told you.
What are you doing? She's literally trying to climb out the crib, guys. Lily girl. Oh my goodness, Lily. You got to sit your booty. So let's talk about how the cameras worked, because it wasn't just someone's iPhone recording or like a Ring camera, where it wasn't like that.
They actually have two apps. One app is to check, they update your child's information, like status.
That was called tadpole. That's like goes back to the communication piece. Like, how will you be communicated with about your child's progress throughout the day?
The other app was a connect with the cameras, and they gave you had to set up a password and an account for that. But you could go in once you logged in. It had, you know, our location had two cameras, which you can look to, and you weren't allowed to take screenshots or anything like that.
I'm sorry, the baby is back there doing some funny stuff, y'all. So we're just giggling at her. Go ahead, honey. So I wish y'all could see her.
There was an app for the cameras, which you had to log in and create a password, but it allows you to see a couple views of what's going on in that particular section.
Right. I want to say this, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. You do not have access to the whole center. You can only see your child's classroom.
Right. So then that automatically it did that for you, so you didn't have to worry about that. And also, you couldn't take like screenshots of what your kid was doing, because remember, you know, it's recording everything.
Everybody's kid. Tried to take a screenshot, they would be like, that's not allowed. Right. Don't you do that again. Because I tried it. I tried to take a picture of her like, oh, she's sleeping. And it was like, nope, don't do it again, ma'am.
Yeah, so that was good that you could check on your baby.
Personally, I feel that in spaces where children cannot speak for themselves, I think it should be mandated that there's cameras. Yeah. And I feel like as I continue to explore like how to make systemic change, that maybe somehow with a team of people, that's something that we can lobby for. So we felt like we did everything right. And honestly, I feel like we did. And we know that there is no other person, and you know that there is no other person who can nurture your babies like you can. And I want it to resonate with you all that there are good providers out there. People who know me and Alan know that we are excellent teachers. But sometimes you have that one experience, or you see that one news story about that one teacher that did that one thing. But that doesn't negate the fact that there are still good educators out there, and there's still great childcare providers out there.
And we felt we did everything right. You can feel that you do everything right, and which is it's a good thing. But I guess the main thing you want to make sure you do is just pray before you're making a decision about where to go, and just ask God, for wisdom and guidance, and just be led, and and just go from there. That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
And as moms who are leaving their babies, who you just had them in some cases, and you have to go, or now that the pandemic is over, you have to go back to the office and leave your babies after being used to be with them. Just pray for peace and protection for your children, and for a mutual partnership, and that your children are going to have a great experience. Like Jesus said, let the children seek him, which means that he wants to be ever present in their lives, So just like we know that we have the Holy Spirit that lives on the inside of us, that same Holy Spirit living in us is the same Holy Spirit who can be comforter to our children.
Right. And just know that, we believe our children are in God's hands. At the end of the day, even if we're far away from them, we know that they're in God's hands and that he's protecting them.
So I think one of the prayers that I pray is that, Lord, please go and before my children, lead them, guide them, protect them, and show them the right things to do. Add to your prayer as you begin to look for a provider for your child. Like, Lord, please send your ministering angels out before my child to prepare a place that's nurturing for them. Just keep saying that every time you have a bit of uneasiness or anxiety about leaving your children. And once you do make the decision, go forth knowing that you do have the maternal or paternal, because I think fathers are important in this search and discussion too. Know that you have the maternal or paternal instinct to do what's right for your children. Know that God is omnipresent, that he is with you while you're working, and he's with your baby while they're being cared for.
Yeah, that's all you can really do, and after you've done all your research, weighed out the pros and cons, as a man in a house, a lot of times we are in that position to make, the decision, and you just gotta lead by faith and go from there, and just trust God. That's all I can.
Yeah.
That's all that's how I view things, and you just trust God in every situation that you possibly can.
Trust in your instincts. Like, even if you're feeling the mom guilt or the dad guilt about leaving your child with someone else, just trust that you have the motherly instinct that if you pick up on things and you have already made a decision about a provider, that it's okay to say, look, this isn't working out, and I think we're going to move in another direction,
Right.
So if there's anything that we can do to support your family, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here for you, to pray for you, partner for you, and to provide resources the best that we can. And you can find more information in the description box of this particular video or the comment section. And you can also connect with us on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at original Sherrie Yvette.
And you can find me at Al on Sax.
And you can find little Lily Jean at Lily Jean Joy, and Alani at what's Lonnie's Instagram handle?
At
Little Gymnast A. You can find Alani at Little Gymnast A. Now, there were some documents that I have and I use to find providers for little Miss Lily Jean. If you want to have those documents, can you please email me? You can find my email and contact information down in the description. These look-fors and documents will help you look for providers regardless of the state that you're in. We will be praying for you, and that's one of my things to pray for, is pray for moms, dads, babies, youth, and please be praying for us.
Yes. And don't be afraid to reach out
Yes.
for help.
Reach out to us. Let's connect. Say bye, Lily Jean. I hope you didn't steal the show and people were able to focus. And look at now, all your cuteness. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. All right. I think we're done.